Hi, fellow traders. Welcome to a new week. Yeah, new week, new you, right? Everything's positive. We're starting the week off on the right foot. Man, I made a whopping $10 today. Man, you can't stop me. I'm on a roll. I don't know. Maybe I can buy lunch tomorrow at that $10. I have to go to McDonald's or somewhere, but at least it's a start, right? Nah, but today was a little slow for me. And a lot of it was self-inflicted. I should have done a lot better than that. Today wasn't one of those $600-700 day. I didn't have that kind of opportunity. I didn't see that kind of value in the stocks that I trade, or in my strategies. But still should have had $200-300 at least. But just didn't do very well today, and we'll take a look at that here in a few. But one of the things this weekend, I took a long weekend. That's why you haven't heard from me in a while. And visited a couple of places with the family, and went to Centennial Park. That honored the '96 Olympics that was held in Atlanta. And I visited the College Football Hall of Fame, and I thought about the same thing in both of these places. The sacrifice that these athletes had to make in order to just participate and represent their country in the Olympics. The sacrifices that these individuals had to make to make it into the College Football Hall of Fame. They had to be those guys that didn't want practice to end every day. When they were running laps, they didn't want to quit. They wanted to keep going. They wanted to push themselves. These were the guys that they didn't know where the end was. There was no end game for them. There was no end point. They didn't care how far they had to go. They knew that no matter what happened, they're going to do what it took for however long it took and go as hard as it took. And when you get put in that position, that's when you find out who you really are. Do you really have what it takes? I remember just playing sports in high school. We would have to run laps and we do physical stuff. Of course, nobody liked to do that. But there were times when the coach would tell us to, run laps. We do that every day. And every now and then, he would just keep us going. And he would do that to see who dropped their head. If we had to run a play over and over and over again, he would do that just to see, who dropped their head, who would fuss and cry, bitch, and moan. Because that's who he knew he could count on and who he couldn't count on when the going got tough. And, you got to think about the same thing. In trading, when you come into trading, you don't know where the end is going to be. I have no ending in mind for my trading. I don't know how far I'm going to have to keep fighting. And I don't know. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do because, what I did this weekend, being able to take off and spend time with the family and experience things, no matter how small or how simple, when you're with your family, it just means that much more. And the ability to do these type of things. That's what I like doing. But there's no end in sight for me. What happens to a lot of these guys that get to the pros, that's their goal, to get to the pros. They get there and they get lazy. They think they made it and they slow down. It's when they get to the pros, it's when they find out who they really are. So Just think about that. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get to where you want to be, but really, where you want to be, there's no end. There's no end point, because in this industry we could grow and get as big as our imagination will take us. The opportunity is there. The question is, are we really that person that could achieve that? And if not, what do we need to do in order to get there? So looking at the SPY today, it looked like we had another little rest day, another one of these little blips. Of course, Friday, the day that I wasn't here to trade, was the best day. I think that could have been home run Friday for me. Looking at the way these stocks moved, would have been home run Friday for me. But, I much rather had been doing what I was doing, enjoying that time, than trading. Because these days come along often. The opportunity to spend time with your family doesn't. Because kids grow up, we get older, we're limited. We start to get limited to what we can do. So you got to enjoy that time when you can. But still looking for, just like we talked about yesterday, I'm looking for the market to hit this ascending resistance before giving us a defined pullback. For our swings to really be strong and take off, we need this market to make a definitive pullback, at least back to this ascending support, but worst case scenario back to the 20. But we do need this to pull back. We do need a definitive pullback so that the market can build up some strength and start to make another run up. That's when these technical swing trades really start to kick off. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. It's what I'm looking for. And when we have days like Friday, it really makes for a solid day trading day. So the SPY the SPY it never closes during the week. But right now, as we speak, it's almost at $412. So we've moved up a little bit since the close. So it's going to be interesting to see, where we end up tomorrow. Are we going to be able to take out, tap this ascending resistance and start to pull back? At least that's what I'm looking for. All right, so let's cover Thursday. Last Thursday, I didn't get to do a recap video. STZ was the stock I was looking at. Obviously, if you look at this, the question in your mind, if you know how I trade and you know my strategy or my setup, is what the hell was he doing? That's a good question. I have no flipping idea. Other than I was thinking, okay, we're taking out the pre-market low here. But that's not the strategy. The strategy is to short the opening range breakdown. There's this huge wick here, which tells me stay the hell away from this on the initial move. Wait for a secondary trade. So I totally missed this signal Thursday, and this kind of set the tone for the kind of day that I was gonna have. So this was the first deal, STZ. And then I jumped on Apple, opening range breakout here, and you can see we had a pullback, but I had enough room to let this thing work. It only pulled back on me maybe 50, 60 cents, and then it pushed back up. We hit a brick wall. We started to pull back in, so I killed it. Was a smart thing to do because it just didn't do anything all day. So this was just kind of a piece of move. I guess you could call this a bunt. This wasn't even a base hit. And then we get to Facebook. This is where my day kind of came unhinged. Here's a secondary trade here. I went to get in on the channel break. This was still early, so I didn't really need to wait for confirmation. So I got in. It turned around and started to run away. Hit my stop, my max loss stop. So it kind of worked its way around again. So as we came down, once it made a new low, I got in again. I shorted, and it turned around and ripped me again. But this time I kind of held it a little bit longer, and that was that. I mean, that was it. That was the end of my day, because I hit the max. I'd hit my max loss. I had three max loss losing trades, and that was that. So there was no coming in the afternoon or anything like that. So I ended up losing $762.52 on Thursday. And you can't, and this is the thing about trading. There's no way you're going to be green every day. There's no way. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how perfect you are. Now, these guys that are saying that they're touting 85, 90% accuracy, the only way they do that is if they have enough money to just hold on to trades until they work. Now, sometimes I get the idiotic idea to do that myself, but I do not have the clout to do that, and it usually ends very badly for me. But guys that have an obscene amount of money can hold a position until it goes in their favor, or they can manipulate the price action to get it to where they don't have to take a loss. So yeah, if you have the money, you can make yourself have an 80, 90% accuracy rate. I could get in a stock, like I could have gone long GME today, and it's selling off. I can hold it and hold it and hold it, and maybe in 6 months it comes back. I never took a loss. And I might have been down, big time. You just don't know. So you got to look at things in context. And we don't have a winning day every day, but we have pretty good months. Last month I can't remember how many red days did I have. Let's see. I only had 3 red days last month. I had an $840 red day, an $868 red day, and then a $125 red day. And had some $90 day. I had a $193 day, a $153 day. I had small days, $200 days. The fact is, I ended the month with $9,100 and traded 22 days. So on average, that's just over $400 a day. It may not sound like much, but look, if you average $500 a day a month, let's just say you traded 20 days a month. That's $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year, just making $500 a day. And when you look at the trades that we take, you would think, oh man, it's nothing to make $500 a day. And some days it seems that way. But days like Thursday, and then you throw the human element in it, because we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things. We're going to push the envelope. You throw that in there, and it just doesn't, it's just not feasible. So, we have to keep that in mind. In days like today, there was no measured potential that I saw where I could make the money that I wanted to make. The opportunities just weren't there based on the strategy that I trade. It just wasn't. So that's why I always say you have to look at the overall picture. I look at my equity curve. If it's going in the right direction, then I'm doing my job. That's the way I look at things. So we ended up last week, with the pretty bad red day on Thursday. Was off Friday, and this could have been a really, really good day, but that's just the way it goes. Let me see. I think I made $1,100. We ended up with, which is not bad. Considering one bad day and then not trading a day, yeah, that's not bad. And we got the rest of the month to kick in. Now today, you're gonna see today just wasn't the best start to the week, but that was the market we were trading. So plug. Here is a opening range breakdown. This was the second trade I took today. But opening range breakdown, really nice move. The only drawback to this is that I didn't take enough size. I should have traded 500 shares. This is a $30 stock. I should have traded at least 500 shares. Could have traded 1,000. But should have traded 500 shares. After the first trade that I took, you'll see in a minute, I just was like, oh, I'm just trading half size today. But really nice move down. Just took some profit along the way. And didn't quite get to the last target here. I ended up taking it off here at almost 3 o'clock. We started building ourselves back. We got over to 20, and this thing just kind of went up into the close. So I was looking for 28.50-ish, around that area, but it just couldn't get there. Here we made a higher low here, but then we made somewhat of a lower low. We made a higher low here. We made somewhat of a lower low relative to this, but it's still a higher low relative to the dip here. And then, once it started to break the 20, that was it. You could tell, you could sit here and tell and watch the momentum. Like right here, it never did make a higher low. It pulled back, it bounced, it pulled back, made a lower low, it bounced, it didn't make a higher high, pulled back, made another lower low. So technically this trade was still working. There was no indication to take it off. But here, there's the indication. You can see that this stock is starting to build. And that's when you take it off. You don't sit back and wait for it to come all the way back and hit your stop. Lock in that profit, guy, and move on to the next trade. And that's kind of what we did. Okay, Baba. Now here, this is a complete mess. And kind of self-inflicted. So I highlighted this. because I had to download, last week I had to download the new DOS for IB. I've been using it, the old one, for over 3 years. And it started acting up. And they told me, look, why the hell are you still using the old one? So I had to update it. And I got everything set on my main computer. But I was on my laptop because I was at lunch and I had a couple of mentor sessions. And you know, that's on another computer altogether. So I was wanting to take this BABA trade again, and I didn't have it set. And if you guys have DOS for IB or now for TD Ameritrade, you know now they have a simulator account that comes free with it. And for some reason, it defaults to the simulator account. So you have to actually go and change it to where it just won't come. So my main setup, it won't even show up at all. But on my laptop, I never took the time to reset everything. So as soon as I took it, it went into the sim account. And so when I realized that, I went ahead and took it in the my live account, and then took it out, took it off the sim. So I highlighted that because you're gonna see a couple of extra tickets that aren't accounted for at the end of the day. But that's where it's coming from. I just want you guys, I've got some members who have a vested interest in what I do every day. So I've got to be 100% transparent with them. So if you guys are keeping up with this, this is what happened here. And if you do get it down the road, make sure you fix it to where it won't default. Because the worst thing you can do is get in a trade and it be a killer trade, and it's in your sim account versus your live account. So I've had a couple of traders do that. A couple of members do that and got really sick. So this is a complete mess. Here was the initial trade. I bought the channel break. It just started effing around up here, and we ran into a brick wall. You could see it. And so I just dumped it. It pulled back. It started to bounce off the 9. So once we broke the top of this again, I got in, and it just got stupid. It got in and it hit that brick wall again. I saw the price action started to get crazy again. So I just got out and just kind of walked away from it. And this is where I started getting screwed up with when I moved over to my laptop. What I should have done is just not done anything until I finished all of the mentor sessions and then get back in. So that's why I said this was just self-inflicted all the way around. So QCOM, this was the first trade of the day. And again, ask me, what the hell were you thinking? I wasn't. I had my finger on the button, and there was no reason for me to be sitting there with my finger on the trigger. And I got that little nervous twitch and clicked it, got in the trade. It started to work. It made a nice move down, and then it bounced and started running up. So I got out of it and said, okay, you need to wait the 5 minutes and get reset. That's when I went ahead and went over to plug. And you can see this is the last exit on plug. It wasn't over here. I had to break it up because the doggone trade log was just crazy today. It wouldn't even fit on this whole window here. But you'll see this was the morning trade, self-inflicted. Self-inflicted here. But I did take it off. I didn't let it run against me. And I did take it off and catch the legit opening range trade, which was on plug. But later in the day, once we broke the low, I got in it and set my stop too tight is what I did. I got irritated. I set my stop too tight and it called my bluff, stopped me out. Then I had to jump back in. So I gave up, about $150, $160 on this when I didn't have to. So that's why I said I really could have made $200-$300 today easy. Maybe even around $350, but I didn't because I made some dumb decisions. This should never have happened, and this should never have stopped me out. I should have been in this clean and just locking in profit. But you can see this turned out to be a decent trade. So today I made a whopping $10.42. So pat myself on the back. Pat myself on the back. You can see QCOM. These two kill me. These two together are about $300. So add 300 to this would have been a really decent day. All right, so that's gonna do it for me. We're gonna get back at this thing tomorrow, see if we can right the ship, and we'll go from there. So you guys have a great night, and I'll catch you tomorrow.